Right, we're just gonna have to hope that all of this is in focus because it's taken me so long to set up. I don't know how to use a tripod properly, it's an absolute nightmare. So today I wanted to do my second trimester update. It's basically month 3 to month 6, and I found out in month 5, which means a lot of my second trimester was just an absolute breeze. It's known as being like the nice one anyway, because first trimester is obviously a lot of morning sickness and nausea and all of that horrible stuff. First trimester is hell, it's horrible. And then obviously third trimester, you've huge, so you've got like loads of discomfort and stuff. So second trimester is just sort of the nice one, like the breezy few months where you kind of forget you're pregnant. Well, obviously for most of it I didn't even know I was pregnant. So from when I found out, that last few weeks of the second trimester, I started experiencing all of my symptoms all of a sudden, and it was really odd because I didn't know if the reason I hadn't noticed my symptoms before were because I didn't know I was pregnant, or if they genuinely did just come on as soon as I found out. We found out in week 24. The day we found out I was pregnant, I started feeling the baby kick for the first time. And again, I don't know if maybe I felt those things before, but I didn't know that's what it was. Because babies kicking feels... In fact, babies kicking, it's very obvious they're kicking. It feels like what you'd expect it to feel like. But when they're just moving around, it kind of feels like, it's a bit like butterflies, but also sort of like food digesting. There's just a lot going on in your tummy area. So potentially I had felt that before, I just didn't know what it was. But it did seem like from the day we found out, all of a sudden we could see like my tummy getting bigger, we could see stretch marks appearing, I could feel the baby, Danny felt the baby, all of this stuff. So I think for me, it all just happened quite quickly. Although I do remember a week before we found out, Danny was lying on my tummy and he was like, oh, I can hear your heartbeat in your stomach. And I was like, oh, that's weird, but okay. Because obviously sometimes you can feel your heartbeat like in your wrist or your neck, like wherever your pulse is. So obviously I didn't think too much of it, but I'm guessing he could hear the baby's heartbeat before we knew there was even a baby, which is absolutely crazy. But yeah, generally second trimester was just really nice. Symptom wise, I've been pretty good. I did start getting heartburn during my second trimester, which wasn't very fun. I've never experienced heartburn before, and I've been getting it probably 2 or 3 times a day. I've just generally felt a bit sort of uncomfortable in my own body. I've been getting restless limbs a lot, so when I'm trying to sleep, my arms and my legs just feel antsy, like they feel like they want to go for a walk or something. Like I just don't really feel comfortable a lot of the time, which isn't fun. Another thing I don't really like is I'm in this awkward stage where when I'm like not wearing any clothes, I can tell that I'm pregnant, and Danny can tell I'm pregnant, and you can see the bump. But then when I put clothes, sorry, I'm sat right next to the rats and they're all just sneezing loads, shush. But when I've got clothes on, you can't really tell. I just kind of look a little bit bigger than I used to. And it's actually quite frustrating. I'm sure like plenty of other pregnant women know what this is like, but I want my bump, like I want the big pregnant bump, and I want it to be obvious that I'm pregnant to like everyone. I don't know why, like I'm sure once I get the bump I'm gonna find it really inconvenient and in the way and stuff like that, but right now I'm just kind of waiting for that. In general, this trimester's just, it really is the good one. Like my skin's cleared up massively, my hair's grown so much, like my hair is so thick and long now. I'm hoping I don't lose it all post-pregnancy because I'm really enjoying it. It really is the good trimester, like generally everything's been really cool, but it's also been super busy for me and Danny because obviously it's when we found out we were pregnant, so we've had so much to do. We've had to book loads of viewings for houses, find a house we like. Obviously this is our new house, by the way, I don't think I mentioned that. We've had to find a car, I've had to defer from uni. There's just been a lot of like little bits of sort of admin work to be done, and it's just been quite stressful and overwhelming in general. Just general like baby anxiety that I always sort of have at the back of my mind. I didn't realise this, but the further into your pregnancy you go, the less they can find out from your scan. So I had my first scan at 25 weeks. You're meant to have your first scan at 12 weeks, I think. I think the first scan usually is the one where they tell you the sex of the baby, and but because I had it so far along, they said we think it's a boy, but we won't know like for sure. They can't really tell you if anything's wrong with the baby in terms of like disabilities and things like that, or birth defects. All they can really say is that his heart's beating and he's growing. That's pretty much it. So on that front, everything's fine, like his heart's beating and he's growing. But it's a bit frustrating not knowing all the things that all the other parents get to know. So that's been quite difficult really, because I didn't realise that until we went to the first scan. The scan was still amazing though, like seeing him. I think if I'd had the first scan when you're meant to at 13 weeks, I think I would have been one of them mums who doesn't know which bit on the screen is actually the baby. But luckily by this point he was like really grown. I could see his big old head. Obviously I got assigned my midwife this month. So you have like your community midwife, which is the ones at your GP, and then you have your hospital midwives. I love the hospital midwives. Like anytime I've had an issue with anything, they're so helpful and so great. I don't really like my community midwife very much. She's done nothing wrong really, but she's just way too chilled out. And Danny found it quite reassuring, because obviously we went in there like, fuck, we didn't know I was pregnant. I've been doing all of these things I probably shouldn't be doing. Am I allowed to still go to gigs? Like there's so many questions you have that you just realise you don't know the answer to. Like I was like, can I still go see Enter Shikari, or is that bad for the baby? I just think she was a bit too chilled out in her approach. Like she was just kind of like, she kind of made me feel a bit silly for worrying. But there are certain things like, yeah, we asked her if we could go to gigs and she was just like, yeah. And then I asked I mentioned it to my mum as well. And my mum was like, well obviously like it's fine, like the baby's completely protected, so in that sense you can go to gigs, like it's not going to harm the baby. But my mum was like, you're going to be really fucking tired, you're not going to want to stand up for that long, so you should make sure there's seating and like water and things like that. So it's sort of like, that's kind of the response I would have expected from a midwife. I mean, I know it's common sense and I should have thought of it myself, but you kind of just want a bit of reassurance and guidance from a midwife, and I don't feel I'm getting that from her. But now that we've moved house, obviously I can move GPs because we've actually moved to like a whole different area. So I'm going to get a new doctor, get a new midwife. Hopefully I'll like the new one a bit better. It doesn't matter too much because you don't have the same midwife all the way through. So the midwife that actually helps you when you're like giving birth at the hospital is obviously going to be a hospital midwife. Sorry, oh, I really wish I could turn the camera, but it took me so long to set up. But one of the rats just pushed the other one out of bed and it was really funny. What else happened in the second trimester? I mean, obviously we told everyone. So all my friends were like happy for me, all of Danny's friends were happy for him. His family took it really well. My family took it well, but it took them a few days to come round. I think when I told my sisters, I was still quite panicky and scared, which made them panicky and scared. By the time I told my mum, because I wanted to tell her in person, I was a lot more like, I had my shit together a bit more. And she was still very panicky and scared. But then once I sort of sat her down and explained that like me and Danny are really happy, she was just like, well, you're happy, I'm happy, like. And then now she's really buzzing for it. But that was something I was a little bit worried about, was telling my mum. I feel like that would always be a bit daunting though. Yeah, everyone's been really, really great and supportive and happy for us and stuff. Like, I think it's a bit of a surprise to everyone, like even my friends and stuff, but yeah, everyone's been great. Both sets of parents have been really good. Something I've also struggled with a bit is eating properly. I'm quite bad at taking care of myself at the best of times. But during this pregnancy, I've been diagnosed with anemia and also super low vitamin D. So I'm on really high dosage of vitamin D and I've got iron tablets as well. But obviously your food intake just has to be like banging during pregnancy. You have to have so much calcium and protein and iron. And a lot of the time the foods that it comes from is just not what I'm in the mood for. It's just loads of vegetables, stuff like spinach. The easiest way to get a lot of these vitamins and stuff is through things like meat and fish and stuff like that, which obviously I don't eat. The alternative to that is like tofu and black beans and stuff that I'm just never in the mood for. Essentially I either don't want to eat or I want to eat junk food or just comfort food in general, like potatoes and pasta and stuff like that. So it has been super hard looking after my diet. On the days where Danny works, he works for 12 hours, so he's gone all day, and I have to make sure I eat during that day. And it is really difficult when I don't have someone sort of telling me to eat and making food for me and stuff. I have found it really difficult because my appetite has just been all over the place basically. And it's also harder now knowing that it's not just me it's affecting, it's the baby, and that if I don't eat these things he's not going to get big and strong, and it's It's a lot of pressure. I'm sure anyone who's had any kind of difficulties with eating in the past will understand how much it can just seem like a job sometimes, and like you're force feeding yourself, and it's really not very nice. Something I'm definitely struggling with, but I am taking all the right vitamins and things like that, so generally I should be at like an alright level. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. My second trimester was pretty uneventful as a whole. Like, obviously loads of stuff went on because we found out and we had to like get our shit together and get all of this stuff sorted, but in terms of the actual pregnancy, anyone who's been pregnant will probably tell you that the second trimester, like, nothing happens. I'm currently 2 weeks into my third trimester. Like, I'm on week 30 now, which means 10 weeks to go, which is kind of terrifying. And so much has happened in the last 2 weeks. It was like as soon as I hit third trimester, all my symptoms started changing, everything got so much more full on. My tummy has been growing like so fast. Every week it's grown loads more, it's crazy. And it's just been a lot more eventful in terms of like hospital visits and things like that. I'm gonna do a separate video probably in a month or so, letting you know how I'm getting on with all of that, because there is quite a lot to say already, so I imagine that's going to be a big old video in itself. I assume if you've made it this far you don't mind the fact that I've just uploaded a really long pregnancy video, but I am just going to reiterate again, not all of my videos are going to be pregnancy and baby related from now on, but it is all I'm thinking about at the moment and all I want to talk about and stuff, so bear with me. Next week I'm going to film and upload the story of how I didn't know I was pregnant for like 24 weeks because that's pretty crazy. Sorry if you've been able to hear the rats in the background of this video, they're really noisy and I don't have anywhere to film properly. Okay, my camera just died because, no, my camera didn't just die. My camera stopped filming because my battery's full, so I'm going to be really quick. I think all I need to say is thanks for watching, but I don't know where it cut off, so thanks for watching.